Hey everybody, this is Tony V, CEO at VERSPRITE. I'm joined with Evin Hernandez. Evin, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Tony?
Doing great, doing great. Evin, tell the world what do you do in life?
What do I do in life? I'm a dad. I'm the VP of Product and Chief Product Officer over at VerSprite and AlterCloud.
Excellent, I love it. Welcome everybody. Today is October 19th, 2022. This is a new episode of the Dirty South Podcast.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So Evin, interesting fact about October, obviously, both as since we're both cybersecurity professionals, it's also Hispanic Heritage Month. So happy Hispanic Heritage Month to you. How do you feel?
I feel the same. But whoop, whoop. Happy day of recognition or month of recognition. I think it's a good thing, with all inclusiveness, we all get to have that feeling of connectivity in a sense to show how diversity works nowadays.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, it's in the United States, at least, it's Hispanic Heritage Month, but I think worldwide it is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So, what do you think about Cybersecurity Awareness Month? What is your top go-to recommendation for all the listeners and viewers out there?
I think my top recommendation is education, especially nowadays with mobile devices, communications all over the place with multiple ways to communicate, social media, professional social media. You just have to educate yourself on who you're talking to, how that information is being disclosed, and whether you should really click on anything anymore. I had a good scenario where someone was trying to send me a document for something. And I said, due to my company policy, I can't open any documents. So if you can attach the text to the message, that would be preferred.
Classic.
So, it's just being aware and educating yourself that everybody out there is not your friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think to your point, it's just understanding, about incorporating security in those streams, right? Multiple different streams of information. But that's what we're going to be talking about today in this quick Dirty South podcast. We're going to be trying to hit up on both cybersecurity awareness, kind of the played out themes that are out there, what works, what doesn't. Let's see if we can get this all in 10 minutes. And then also hit up on the Hispanic Heritage Month. What does that really mean for Hispanics like you and I? So really quick, your background. I mean, I'm first generation American, but whole family's from Peru. What about you?
I would be considered second generation on my dad's side, third generation on my mother's side.
Okay, all right. Now you said, you feel kind of the same. I mean, I think like with myself, I mean, I'm in that, camp as well. I feel like it's just, another month. I mean, it's good to have the opportunity, the platform to be able to talk about, Hispanic Heritage Month and kind of show, a little bit of the different cultural differences, Latin America, Central America, Caribbean, Spain, etc. What are some of the valuable things that you think that could be leveraged during Hispanic Heritage Month for professionals out there?
I think, we come from so much of a diverse background, from very, very light to very, very dark. And, we have a certain way of thinking when it comes to our industry, right? Sometimes we look at things in a different way just because culturally we're very different in terms of how we react to things, how we understand technology. So I think that's some of the value that we bring to the space.
Yeah, and one of the things I was talking to you about before, was the, I guess the right or the privilege. I mean, like you said, Hispanic is a big word that encompasses a lot of different demographics. The beauty that I've always thought about the Hispanic culture, Latino culture, is that you have, it's a big melting pot. Like you said, you have a lot of Afro influences, you have a lot of European influences, you have, even like Middle Eastern influences, Asian influences, and it's a huge melting pot. So, we don't really kind of face some of the kind of the racist tones as much because it's more about socioeconomic and educational backgrounds that kind of separate, which is a great tie into cybersecurity. If we're going to basically like talk about representation, right, of the Latino Hispanic community in infosec and cybersecurity, how would you characterize that?
I think it's rare. I think that seeing Latinos, in particular in the United States, in cybersecurity is a lot less. I think just due to, where you grow up and the amount of opportunity you have to get into computers in general. I had said this before that, becoming or getting into cybersecurity or becoming a hacker is almost a luxury because you need a computer
Right.
to do those things. So being exposed in those communities to computers, to books around that stuff is
Costs money.
it costs money. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it costs money, time, and some of those things, aren't available, right, for certain types of demographic. Depends on the situation. I mean, every situation is different, but you're absolutely right. So I think that, there's definitely an opportunity. I know that as for someone that's been in ITIS for 27 years, Hispanics, I would say, still consistently represent a minority. And I think it goes back to that, having the socioeconomic means to be able to have, a working computer, software that goes along with it, schooling and things like that. Especially if you're immigrating into the United States, or you're first generation even, right? You're trying to get your foothold economically into the rhythm of the economy and just providing for your family and things like that. So for you, why did you get into it? Why did you, why didn't you do why weren't you a lawyer? I mean, every Hispanic mom says, hey, I want you to be an abogado, I want you to be a lawyer, so why weren't you?
I think early on, I was always attracted to electrical and mechanical engineering, working with my hands, right? A lot of my family does come from construction, obviously Hispanic family, immigrated over. We do a lot of manual labor even today, right? But my mind was really more on the I take a TV apart and then try to put it back together. And then when I went to college for electrical and computer engineering, I had a professor who was doing network security. And I was like, what's that? That's what I want to do, just exposing me to a different world of, the computers and how you can manipulate them and, being able to break the code. And I was like super fascinated with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I did promise 10 minutes, but I want to wrap up and I want to get your key points and takeaways. I was going to lay some down on the table to any recommendations in terms of like how to get in, right? That's the classic question that all InfoSec cybersecurity Padawans out there want to be able to know is like, how do I get in to be a Jedi? How do I get into this industry and just become an expert? And taking kind of a slant around this Hispanic Heritage Month, I think, honestly, it's less about, obviously, in different upbringings, like you said, we're awarded different opportunities. And at the end, it's at an individual level, right? It's less to do about what carries over. We historically may not have been given, through, our antepasados, our ancestry, right? The opportunities and maybe the riches and the wealth to be able to get to a good starting point. But at the end, going back to, I think, what does it take to get into cybersecurity? I think it takes curiosity, right? It takes commitment, and it takes effort. Obviously you've heard of the acronym RFTM, and there is a level of self-sufficiency, right? That is like, what can you learn on your own, especially in this digital age? What can you learn in terms of understanding protocols? If you want to be a network engineer, if you want to understand, application security, do you understand, how, what do you understand what an API is? Do you understand what a privileged model is, or rollback access control? Or do you understand what output encoding is? understanding, some of these fundamentals and getting after it, and then being able to pick a niche. I know that for me, and I'll just end with this, having done a little bit of software development, network engineering, and system engineering, and things like that, I found my passion in really in architecture, which I kind of ported it over into threat modeling, right? So as someone that was enamored with both risk and quantification and proving that there's a problem, I took an opportunity to see like, okay, well, this framework that's really used in other industries like the military could be applied in this particular context of application threat modeling. So going back to the recommendations, it's a lot about how much you put in will determine how much you get out of a life in cybersecurity. What about you?
I think for me, perseverance and grit, especially everything else you just said, today is the information age. You want to learn something, it's out there. You don't even have to go to the library. I kind of like we did back in the day, right? You can go on YouTube and you can just dive in on a particular subject. Yeah, right. Join a community. There's a bunch of meetups. We're part of OWASP.
Absolutely.
You can contribute. It's very open armed. It's very welcoming. So you can understand. You can meet peers. You can meet contributors. People in the industry that have grown their profession through the community.
Yep.
But I think at the end of the day, it's all about what you put out, right? And you have to persevere and you have to have that grit to continuously move forward with how you want your career to grow, especially in cybersecurity.
Absolutely. Evin, where can people find you on the ether? I mean, for myself or anyone out there, I'm T0NYUV under Twitter, so you can find me there, or on LinkedIn, Tony UV. What about you, Evin?
You can find me on Twitter as E Hernandez Evin, and then on LinkedIn as Evin Hernandez, EVIN, the only one in the world. Obviously, it's phonetically correct.
The one and only. I love it. Well, happy Hispanic Heritage Month to you. Keep it frosty on the cyber. This is Tony UV, Evin Hernandez, doing a shout out from Atlanta and from New York on the Dirty South CyberSecurity Podcast. Take care, everybody.